It's been a while since we've done an outside video, so I thought I'd come outside and do some work today. As you can see, we have the ladder up, and that's actually been there since putting insulation in the attic. We haven't touched it since. So today I'm hoping to close up those holes, pull down all this silver house sheathing, and just to get it a little more sealed up on the end here. So I didn't lose too much insulation. You can see it's a little low around where the opening was. That's fine. Hopefully this OSB goes up without any problems. Did you toss up my fencing pliers? I see a staple that's sticking out still. I thought I got them all. You ready? Good?
Yeah.
The first piece went up pretty smoothly. Now I gotta get the second one. Yay! I feel a lot better about that being closed up. You can see I left a gap in the middle between the two boards. That's the way they had it, and I just had to go with the stud spacing the way it was. But I'm gonna just put some of this flashing tape over the crack just to seal it up. That might not be perfect, but it's better than nothing. At least it'll hold the insulation in and help prevent things from wanting to get in there. I know we still have all these gaps up here that we created and all around the house. Hopefully we can tackle those soon. I'm not sure how to address that. I'm not ready to put the soffits back up, so we'll just take it as it comes. I guess that's all I'm doing on this project. I know I got these little corners I got to finish up, but I'm not worried about those today because the project is at a standstill till spring anyway. So as long as this is sealed, I'm happy. So we're glad that we got the end gable done. That's another project off my list that's been lingering for too long. The winter weather really came so fast this year. In November, we had January temperatures. So like there was no fall. It was really from summer straight into winter. It just kind of messed up our flow of getting work done on the outside of the house. But now I just wanted to spend a couple minutes sharing something with you guys. We actually have two stories to tell. So we're going to start with the bad news. They're both bad news.
Yeah.
Basically, we made a huge mistake on our renovation, and it's a little bit embarrassing and it's a little bit stressful. It's going to be a big mess to fix, but this is basically what happened. You guys saw our attic. We have a shallow pitch, 3 and 12 pitch roof, so our attic is very shallow. And what we wanted to do was do blow-in cellulose insulation. And we put up our drywall, everything. I squoze up into the attic and I blew it in. My idea was to take the hose, shove it all the way in to those narrow eaves, or whatever you call it in the attic, and just fill it up, pull the hose back, and do the next bay.
Yeah, because you can only go so far down until you just can't fit anymore.
You can't fit with those trusses and everything. Just down the center is where I could go. So I was doing that. I felt good about it. I thought I was doing a good job, and I filled up all the insulation blindly. Keep in mind, I can't see in the attic. The dust is flying. Once the insulation starts blowing, you just can't see what you're doing.
That's one of the disadvantages of doing blow-in is you can't see.
Well, I think in a bigger space it'd be easier.
Yeah.
But in that cramped space, there was no way. Our house, I'll just say, has been staying warm. We've actually been doing really good on our heating. The heaters don't even run that much. I'm really happy with it.
Way better than last year.
But we have noticed some problems. We have cold spots on our ceiling. Specifically, like if you're doing papering on the ceiling like we're doing, or painting or whatever, and you're up there by the ceiling, you're going to notice this stuff. But we also noticed some meltage on the roof along our the bottom edge of the roof. Yeah. I knew the insulation would be thin where the roof is because it's so narrow like that.
Yeah, there's only so much you can fit in, a couple inches.
And that was kind of dumb of me to just leave it like that anyway. But the bigger problem is that the blow-in insulation didn't fill the end of our roof like it was supposed to. I actually went outside and cut holes in the soffits basically so I could see inside the roof. And I couldn't believe how bad some of the bays were. It varies. Some of the bays were okay, but a lot of them, just the insulation never made it down into those tight cracks. So we probably have a foot or more of space that's not insulated along the edges of our roof, of our ceiling. So basically we have drywall and then cold air outside. There's no insulation on top. That's extremely bad. And there's no way for me to get in there. I've looked at every option I could think of as far as like adding insulation. You can't get into the attic because it's too tight to even get in there, and it's all full of blown-in insulation now. I can't insulate it from the outside because the slot is literally like 1.5 inches wide, and there's just not much room to
do something.
Yeah, I mean, I could possibly try to shove insulation up there. It'd be a very it'd be a pain. So anyway, I messed up. I should have insulated the ceiling before putting the drywall up. I should have insulated the
narrow
parts.
Yeah.
And I could have done that with batt insulation or foam board or something to just do those skinny areas, and then I could have blown in the rest. Since I didn't do that, we got to fix it. And unfortunately, we can't do anything about it right now because we're in the middle of winter. Well, we're starting winter, but the cold weather is here.
It's been here for like months. Yeah.
Here's the plan. The plan is that when spring comes, we're going to re-roof the house. We weren't exactly planning on doing this soon, but it's okay. We did want to re-roof it because it wasn't done exactly great the first time by the previous owners. Our idea is to strip the shingles and take off the edge of a strip of plywood on the bottom edge of the roof. That plywood
all the way down
is pretty shot anyway, so we don't mind replacing it. So we're basically going to open up the roof and then insulate from the top side, and then
resheath it,
put new sheathing down, reshingle the roof. It's going to be a major roof project, but I don't see any other way. Honestly, I've really put a lot of thought into this, and that's the only option. And the only reason we're not doing it right now is because it's just not smart to roof in the winter. The shingles aren't going to seal right. We just don't have enough nice days, and knowing us, it'd be snowing and everything else. So we just got to wait, unfortunately. So we do have heat loss.
Even though it still is better than last year, because the house was so poorly
it's
insulated.
It feels a lot better.
Yeah.
So even though we're doing better, we're not doing as good as we could. And our main concern is preventing mold, because we have warm, humid air in our house, and that warm, humid air can contact that really cold surface of the drywall along the edge of our ceiling. And that's the potential for condensation. Condensation can create mold. So we're keeping an eye on that, keeping our humidity levels as low as we can. We have a dehumidifier that runs. So far, everything's been dry and good. Anyway, that'll come in spring. We'll just deal with it for now and hope that we can make it through the winter without any problems with those uninsulated areas of our ceiling. Okay, so here's the second story. Kind of more bad news for us, but it's not a bad news story. We drove to the store the other night to pick up some groceries, and it was pretty late, I would say. Yeah, it was pretty late.
Yeah.
We did our grocery shopping, and we come out to the car. We go to start it up, and the car wouldn't start. It wouldn't even turn over. You know, our Honda...
It was making vaguely a noise, like that was it.
Yeah. This is our 2003 Honda Element, and it's always been awesome for us. It's really reliable, and we've been driving it for...
since 2012.
So it just wouldn't turn over. And I've had some times when it's been weak, and you guys, some of you have noticed it. It turns over really weak. We tried replacing the battery. We actually bought a new one this year, and it still turned over kind of weak. So I didn't know what it was. Could be a loose wire, bad wiring, to the starter or something like that. But it's been starting up decent. So, we've been going along. But got to the store, did our shopping, came out. It wouldn't start. It was kind of like, it was probably like 9 o'clock at night. We had to get home. It was cold out.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, oh, what do we do? We were kind of like a little bit worried, thinking, oh no. Just kept trying it. It wouldn't start. I didn't think it was a dead battery, because the battery's pretty new, and we didn't leave anything on.
And all of our lights and everything were bright and not dim or anything.
So I was checking it. The oil was a little low. I added some oil. That shouldn't affect it that much. But, I just couldn't figure it out. And then I saw somebody coming out of the store. They were getting into a van next to us. And I said, maybe I'll just try. I'll try to jump it. I asked them, I said, would you mind giving me a jump? The car won't start. I don't know if it'll fix it, but can you just try? I thought maybe that it'll help. They tried to give us a jump, and nothing. It was just still
same.
Dead. The battery was totally fine, but there was like no power, or barely any power was getting to the starter. So I said, appreciate it, thank you, that's fine. And they were a little worried about us because they saw we had kids and everything. It was late at night. I mean, it was going for 10 o'clock, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, it's fine. We'll figure it out. We'll just go with the flow. We'll see what we can do. So they left. We said thank you. And we went into the store. Luckily, the store was open. Picked up a flashlight and some tools. We just needed something long to bang on the starter. Ashley actually had this idea of why don't you bang on the starter? Because a couple years ago,
Yep. In Kokomo, we were having like a problem where we couldn't start the vehicle, and it was the starter. And Doug realized if he banged on it, it would turn it over.
right? And I totally forgot about that the starter did have problems for
Yeah.
a while now. Because after banging on it, it started working again. So we went in the store, we bought some tools. I'll try to speed up the story. And banging on the starter, bang, bang, bang. And then I said, try it. Ashley tried it, and it turned over a little bit.
Yeah, it had more sound.
So we're like, oh, good. So I kept banging on it. I'm like pushing the wires around in there because it's hard to get to the starter.
And then each time I would go to start it, it would get more and more better sounding.
Last time she started, it turned right on. Just started right up like nothing.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's a wire that's loose or if it's a starter that's bad, but we looked it up and they say that those starters are prone to going bad. And it has locked up before on us and had problems before. I don't know if the brushes are getting bad or if it's just messed up, but banging on it seemed to do the trick.
So we luckily got it started when we had no clue like what we were going to do if it didn't start.
Yeah. So that was crazy. And so what I did was we got home and one of the first things we did was we ordered a new starter online. And the starter came today and we tried installing it, but we don't have the right tools to get to where it is. So I'm going to have to pick up some tools. But we're getting that done. That was going to be our thing today that we were going to do and it just didn't happen. But we still thought it'd be fun to share the story. And we'll probably just try to get it replaced as soon as we can. And we may not show it, but at least you guys know the story just for fun. So
Yeah.
So that's it. We just wanted to share our stories with you. A couple of bad news. One ended in a good note. As long as we can replace the starter, we should be good to go. Even if it was just the wiring, the starter is kind of beat up, and I've banged on it plenty of times, and I think it's fine to just throw a new starter in.
Yeah. Man, those are hard to get to in the element.
Really tight spot.
They need to make vehicles better.
And as far as the roof goes, no sweat. We're going to hold out and just get it done in the spring. Again, it was just our mistake. And when you see us ripping off our roof in the spring, it'll all make sense to you. So yeah, we're going to wrap it up now. Maverick's room is coming along. Believe it or not, the whole room is painted. We got a ways to go. We're still planning the design of it. We don't have any. We don't really have anything fun planned for his room. I like to add something unique to each room, and we had ideas for his room, but we scrapped them all.
Yeah.
So we're starting over, and we're like, no, this isn't.
We were going down a path that we changed our mind on.
So anyway, we'll get back on that project soon. Yeah, we appreciate you guys watching, and until next time, take care.
Bye.